What's going on YouTube? Hey, it's Ben Nader back with another video, guys. I hope you're having an awesome week. I hope you're capping off some good business for this week and you've come to the right place if you're looking to talk about entrepreneurship, recruiting, staffing, anything in between. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. I have no clue what you're waiting for not to subscribe, and smash the like button just for good measure if you enjoy any of the content on my videos. So I'm going to dive right into it today. To niche or not to niche is the question. Basically, this is an age-old concept in recruiting and something that I'm learning currently and have been learning over the course of about a year and a half. What does a niche mean? What does it mean when you get into a niche? And what does it mean when you niche down, really? So ultimately, a niche is a very specific set of businesses or industries or, one industry in specific that you'll work with and recruit and staff for. And you'll become a very, very good expert within that field, and you'll be known in that field, and that you'll work with a lot of companies and network with a lot of decision makers in that specific field of work. And so therefore you have an advantage where you can ultimately connect with a lot of people and they'll know your name and they can reach out to you readily because they know you work in that field. You'll also be able to garner up a ton of knowledge in that field. So if you're specifically in software developers or software engineers in any specific capacity, maybe a specific sector of them, you might be the person that people call whenever they want IT staffing in a particular geographical region amongst, 10, 15, 20, 30 companies. And you can get referrals amongst that community, and you can get, all sorts of benefits by setting yourself up in a niche industry. That's really, really cool. There's nothing wrong with it. And I actually commend it and give accolades to people that have worked heavily on a niche for a long period of time, because it does not come overnight. Niching down into a particular set of industry doesn't come overnight. It absolutely takes a period of time, a lot of networking, research, learning, and ultimately, you're going to have to start somewhere. So you have to get a placement there, and then you have to work yourself in and learn a ton along the way as you go, so that you can be really successful in the niche. The flip side is being a general recruiting agency, if you will, a solopreneur that runs a general recruiting agency, which is basically what I am right now. And I can tell you that essentially what I will do is work with pretty much any company, most any company that I can facilitate hiring for. So if someone comes to me and they ask me for a PhD scientist that's doing cancer research, I can't do that. And I'm going to turn that down because I'm not going to be able to deliver any value there, and it would just not work. My candidates would be crap. I probably don't even know how to approach those candidates because I'm not in that industry, I'm not in that niche, and it's not going to work for me. However, I am in the general labor space, which, contrary to popular belief, I consider a niche, and I'll tell you exactly why. So working with, I always use this, delivery drivers, production facilities, distribution, warehouse, machinists, or people that are doing production line work on an assembly line, maybe low-skilled, medium-skilled labor, construction, things of that nature. They, to me, fall into a niche that I call general labor, and I consider that a niche. So you could be a little bit different and break things down and say construction's my niche, or, delivery drivers is my niche, or, production facility management is my niche. But to me, that makes zero sense at all, because for me, what a niche ultimately means is how easy is it for me to network, get clients, and make placements in that particular field. So whatever niche you say and you call out, I just think in my head, can I place someone in that? And if it's something that I can do, I would say, yeah, that's in my wheelhouse and I can do it. So the decision that you have to make is when you're going to niche down into one particular field, or if you're ever going to niche down into one particular field. I recommend anyone that's beginning a recruiting agency, just starting off the bat, getting clients and working with them, they always start in general labor, which I consider to be a niche. And so I think that your niche should be general labor, meaning, like I said, low skilled level labor, medium skilled level labor, people that work in distribution, people that work in low-skilled jobs where they're anywhere from 16 to 18, 19, $20 an hour, and that's basically it. Administrative, clerical, a lot of things of that nature. That is a niche. Contrary to popular belief, that is an entire niche. So all of those different industries combined, if you are hiring on the general labor space for those positions, you are practicing in the general labor niche, and that's the way I see it, and that's the way I project it out in the way I produce for my clients. So right now, that's what I do. And when something is out of my league or something seems a little bit high, like I mentioned before, I will pass it on by and I won't work on it because it's not something I can produce value for. And if I'm not going to produce any value, it's just a waste of time for me. It's a waste of time for the client, any candidate I might get in touch with, all of that. And so I make a very good point about understanding who I can connect with who and who I cannot connect with who. Now, as you progress, right? So I've been in the game for a year plus now. And as you progress, I think it would be very wise to learn as much as possible about many different niches and understand where you can be more successful. So a good transition, and one that I intend on making, is essentially one where I go from generalized labor, where there's high volume but lower fees, up into IT and specialized niches like, just specific sets of IT, like data science, software development engineers, software development test engineers. There's all sorts of different sects within all of these main niches in tech. So in tech/IT, you can make a lot more money on fees, and we discussed fees the other day, but the process is slower. So again, back to this whole thing, where do you niche, when do you niche, and how do you do that process? Well, to get started, like I said, don't worry about any of that right now. What I think is that you should just go for broke, go into every single client that you can, attempt to work with that client and fill their needs, whether it be a delivery, forklift, driver, warehouse, production, admin, clerical, you name it, custodial. Fill those positions. That will make you cash, that will raise your bank account and provide you with a lot of learning to be able to eventually niche down. So once you do want to niche down, you'll be in a position where you can have, enterprise tools and good training and possibly collaborate with some other agencies to get into a particular niche, such as, like I mentioned, tech, which is a great way to kind of segue into something. Because at the end of the day, over the course of a year and some time, recruiting for general labor is great. It's very fast money, it's very simple, and it's quick. What happens is you ultimately want to move upward and onward into something that's going to be a little bit more difficult on finding candidates. So you're not going to close a candidate in a week. You might close them in a month's time. And it's going to be very specific as far as how you're going to recruit the candidate. So the candidate is going to be a little bit more picky, a little bit more needy than a truck driver will be. They're going to want certain comp, and they'll want specific things, as will the client. The client will want specific things from you as well. So I guess what I'm getting to is the question is to niche or not to niche. And the answer for anyone watching this that is into recruiting a year and below, don't niche in anything. Niche in general labor and take the clients that you can get, that you can serve, that you know how to serve, and deliver them value and deliver them proper candidates. When to niche? Probably after a year, once you've gotten a lot of placements under your belt and you've learned a lot and you're ready to delve into a specific market and serve that market with value, because ultimately what it comes down to is true value. I've said many times on this channel that you only get paid for value, and so that's what your deliverable is: value, candidates, good candidates for their company. And so when you can provide that value, that's when you niche down and get into something specific. But you of course don't want to compromise your income, right? So you need to make sure that you're absolutely getting into something where you can find candidates, you do have relationships, or you're able to build relationships in a good manner that can actually get you, solid flowing placements. Right now in the general labor space, I have tons of clients that I work with that constantly have needs in all of the spaces I mention all the time. And that's very consistent. So you want to get to a place where if you go into tech, that your placement and your fill rate is very consistent as well. Nobody wants to sit there for 2 months without a job order. That's not going to make you money, and that's not what recruiting is. Recruiting is having constant job orders with, constantly developing new business and filling new roles. So to niche or not to niche, don't niche if you're under a year. Start to niche, or at least thinking about niching after a year, and transfer into something that you think is very, very specified, and then cut bait on your general labor, okay? When you get to a certain point, you're gonna wanna cut bait and move forward, because there's gonna be more money involved on the table, and it's gonna take a slower amount of time, so you'll make less placements, but more money on each placement. So you'll basically equate, if not do a surplus on what you've been making recruiting for general labor like I'm doing right now. So with that being said, those are my rules and those are my thinking on niching down, what niches are and how niches work. So obviously, people might have other opinions. Comment in the comments if you have other opinions about how to go about niching down and what a good strategy is for it. You might have an awesome story that I'd love to hear in the comments about what you work on or what you've done so far and what you think you might want to niche into in the relative near future. So smash the like button first, then go hit the comments and tell me about what niche you'd like to hit and where you'd like to be in a year and a half's time. Recruiting for what? Recruiting for, a particular set, medical, tech, is it going to be finance? Is it going to be CPAs? Is it going to be attorneys? I know a gentleman who recruits specifically for legal, and so he recruits attorneys, and the average placement fee is $70,000. So I'll let you just chew on that for a little bit. So he built that niche up for himself over the course of a long time, and so that's few and far between, and we could speak on that on a different level. I'd actually love to do maybe a collab video with him to discuss his niche and how he got to where he's at now from where he began, because that was a 25-year period or so. But anyways, guys, that's all I've got for today. I hope you're having an awesome week. Smash the like button if you haven't already, please. I would beg you. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I'd love to provide more content and value to you. Let me know in the comments whatever you're looking for as far as videos or more, questions answered or specifics that I can go into on things that I've done personally that I can convey and help add value to your transition as an agency owner. So that's it. I'll catch you guys tomorrow and hope you're having an awesome week. Take care.